Welcome everyone to the Hurting Humanity channel. For those of you that haven't heard yet, I have to do a video talking about Joe Biden becoming a Prince Hall Freemason. So for those of you that haven't heard, this entire thing is very bizarre because it's very rare that they openly announce their affiliation with Freemasonry. The only other person I could remember recently who has been a politician, who has done a ritual out in the open, is Mayor Eric Adams in New York City. So this whole thing is just very bizarre. Joe Biden was already a Freemason before becoming president of the United States, going way back into his time in the Senate. So this isn't something huge. I'm not sure if they're putting this out there to hold up a middle finger, or if they're just putting this out there because Joe Biden has actually joined the Prince Hall Freemasons. So I don't know if they're doing this to just make it look like some type of liberal declaration where white Freemasons are going to join black Freemason affiliations, because the Prince Hall is primarily for black people. Now, of course, they'll call everybody else in the world a racist, but the Freemasons have their own white delegation and their own black delegation, and they have multiple denominations inside of, let's just call it what it is, the occult, because that's what Freemasonry is. So Joe Biden potentially faces excommunication after what they're saying is a quiet induction into a historically black Masonic lodge. But there's nothing quiet about it. And again, to be president in the first place, you have got to be a Freemason. Now, not every single president is on record because, as you probably know, over time, people became very aware of who Freemasons are and the oath they take. The oath that they take in Freemasonry is the definition of what treason is. You should not be allowed to be a president if you're a member of Freemasonry, because you take an oath to your brotherhood, to your fellowship, to the union you have with the lodge, which would be treason, which means that he puts the lodge, they put the lodge ahead of the American people. Yet we allow these people somehow to even tell us that they're Freemasons out in the public. So we've had many, and Joe Biden, for anyone who wants to look into deeper detail, he was declared a Mason at sight by the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of South Carolina. That is the lodge that introduced him, and all these pictures are out there circulating around the internet. And again, George Washington, our first, so-called first, president of the United States, was an open Freemason. There's so many photos of George Washington dressed as a Mason. A lot of these guys in the past weren't hiding it at all. Andrew Jackson, James Monroe. Specifically, you have guys like William McKinley and James Garfield, and I believe Donald Trump even recently was praising William McKinley, Franklin Roosevelt, and maybe most specifically Harry Truman and Gerald Ford. One, because Gerald Ford is involved in the involvement of Gerald Ford in the things that people are trying to expose now as far as underground rings is probably higher than anybody who's ever served in office. That's actually how he got put into office, with his own children being involved in those acts, which I can't go into detail about on YouTube, but I can obviously on the website. Then you have Harry S. Truman. Of course, what's Truman most known for other than telling you out in the open? The quote from Harry Truman, I mean, you tell me if this is treason. He says, although I hold the highest civil honor in the world, which he's referring to as president, I've always regarded my rank and title as a past Grand Master of Masons the greatest honor that had ever come to me. So he put being a Grand Master Mason above being the president of the United States of America. If only people knew, but most people just roll their eyes at these types of things because, again, they've been trained to think that Freemasons are no different than the fraternities you see in movies like Old School or Animal House, where it's just a bunch of guys who get together and do keg stands. Oh, it's a lot deeper than that. It's guys who get together, blackmail one another, take rituals with one another, and oaths to one another in order to achieve more social status in their towns. This is how people network into high positions of power in companies, in local government. This is where it starts. It starts at this level. So for anybody out there that rolls their eyes at Freemasons and says, well, we have the Vatican and we have that other place, that other piece of land, Israel over there, who are at the top of the power chain. Well, yeah, but guess where it starts? Guess where local government gets compromised? It gets compromised from here and the Eastern Star. And speaking of that other piece of land, don't forget who it was who declared in 1948 the state of Israel. It was Harry Truman. And when Harry Truman did that, he literally yoked up the United States of America with the synagogue of Satan themselves. So back to Joe Biden, not these other presidents, because another thing that's important to note is some of you may remember back in 2021 when Joe Biden was inaugurated as president, there was rumors that he wasn't using an actual Bible, that he was using a Freemasonic Bible. But of course, all the fact checkers out there just told everybody that it was debunked without giving any proof, saying that, oh, he was using a Roman Catholic Bible. And on top of all that stuff, Joe Biden claims, right? First, he claims to be a Zionist, then he claims to be a Catholic. Well, the Catholic Church doesn't allow you to be a Freemason. So it just makes you scratch your head that nobody tapped him on the shoulder and told him, hey, you're going to go and do this and take pictures. The church's going to find out. They're going to excommunicate you from the church. He probably just said, well, that's because it's all show. So, of course, why would he actually care? Because it is a show. He already was a Freemason. And to think that the Vatican isn't involved in Freemasonry is laughable. They pretend like they're not affiliated with Freemasonry because they would lose their power. They would lose their stranglehold over the minds of many of the Christians out there that think that the Vatican is not corrupt. So back to his initiation. This is what was posted on their website, the Freemasonic Lodge that he joined. It is with great pleasure that I, Victor C., Major 27th, the most worshipful Grandmaster, welcome our newest member to the Prince Hall family on Sunday, January 19th, 2025 at a private event. Master Mason membership with full honors were conferred upon President Joseph Biden Jr. in recognition of his outstanding service to the United States of America. And keep in mind, this is a black fraternal order of Freemasonry. So he probably didn't have membership in this specific one, but we know he had membership in the others. So it says, the resolution of membership. To be a Freemason is to be a part of a brotherhood dedicated to personal growth, service to others, and the pursuit of knowledge and truth. It is an honor to belong to an organization that promotes these timeless values. Whereas Joe Biden has demonstrated exceptional dedication and service to the United States of America. Whereas his service reflects the core values of the most worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of free and accepted Masons of the state of South Carolina, including brotherly love, relief, and truth. Whereas President Biden and his contributions have significantly benefited the citizens of the United States of America. Therefore, be it resolved that I, the 27th most worshipful Grandmaster Victor C. Major, might as well be George Glass again with these names, on behalf of the members of the most worshipful Prince Hall, Grand Lodge, and free and accepted Masons of the state of South Carolina, hereby confirm membership upon President Biden in recognition of his outstanding service to the U.S. Be it further resolved that this resolution of membership be recorded in the archives of the most worshipful Prince Hall, Grand Lodge of free and accepted Masons of the state of South Carolina, given this 19th day of January AD 2025. So this is just confirmation, again, of treason, because that's really what it is. If we lined up all the politicians and found their affiliation, association with these secret societies, and people out there actually learned what they believe. Now, again, I know that everybody who follows my channel, I think for the most part, Christians do follow my channel, followers of Jesus Christ, but there are obviously people who don't, and that's okay. That's their right to follow and listen to my content. I don't claim to be a ministry. I don't claim to be a church. I just hope when you see all the things that I expose, that it makes your brain connect the dots and say, hey, you know what? If all these horrible people, if all these wicked people worship Lucifer and they constantly show us the Baphomet and all these satanic images that they use, maybe that does mean that God is actually real. And maybe you should pick up your Bible and turn to God immediately. Because if all these wicked people who are presidents and prime ministers and Hollywood tycoons, if they're all worshiping the devil, well, that must mean that God is real. And here's a clip that I've used in the past that's very important for anybody new to see. This is a Freemason being confronted. And normally, these Freemasons never expose themselves, but sometimes you might get one of these, prickly old men who get confrontational. I mean, I've seen some of these guys, throughout my life at local, wherever I was living at the time, local towns that have like a parade, and maybe you go, you're like, oh, it's a fall festival. They're gonna have fall decor, Okay, fine, I'll go out. And then they have tables set up to recruit Freemasons, and they all look like this guy. They look like miserable old men. But of course, keep in mind, as he tells you he worships Lucifer and pretty much has to pretend that he worships Jesus too, because that's what they have to do. Keep in mind how he brings up his charity work and hospitals and how that's what the Shriners do, because I've said this from day one on my channel to get people to understand how these people have gotten away with the acts that they commit, is that they yoke up with hospitals. They tell you that all we do is dedicate our time and our money to helping kids with cancer. We don't tell you that we're actually the ones responsible for spraying the chemicals in the sky or getting your kids shot up at birth with some of these poisons that cause them to have these problems. They always run to their charities. They always run to being, we're philanthropists. We're such great people. It's the same thing that celebrities do. But here is a Mason confronted many years ago, even holding his Shriner's hat. Well, and you could hear for yourself who he worships.
Lucifer, what is your problem?
Just that, sir.
Okay.
I'm a Christian, sir.
I'm pure and virtuous and wholesome and innocent. How can you say anything bad about me?
Sir, you need to be born again.
I am born again.
Now, did you just say that you were Lucifer?
I am Lucifer.
Okay, define Lucifer for me.
Pure, virtuous, wholesome, innocent individual that's out to help people.
Lucifer is?
Yeah.
Say that again. Lucifer is a pure, holy...
Virtuous.
Now, is he the Lucifer that God created?
That's the same one.
Oh, man, this is great. I'm going to put this on the internet.
Oh, amen. God bless you, amen. Brother.
Because that's exactly what the Shriners and Masons teach, is that Lucifer is light.
No.
And you're
what about
confirming
those hospitals?
You know what, sir? Jesus said, many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, we did not do these good deeds in your name? And you'll say, away from me, you workers of iniquity. I never knew you.
Jesus said it?
In Matthew chapter 5.
Mercy.
No.
That's hard to believe.
So you're a Christian and you don't know that. Actually.
No, I really am.
You are.
Because I'm pure and virtuous.
You're pure and virtuous, okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, you're perfect without Jesus, right?
No.
Okay, tell me about Jesus. Who is Jesus?
But he's my leader.
Is he the Son of God?
Yes, he is.
Is he the only worshipful master?
Yes.
Have you ever been called worshipful master?
No, because I've just been too busy. I've been working.
Working?
Been working to help people.
What
like
kind
you.
of work? Okay.
Get out of here.
See, this is what a Mason confesses, is that Lucifer is light.
So again, when I bring up being a Christian, and I know people out there, some don't agree, because some people kind of have always been stuck in a vacuum of, well, the Vatican and the Pope is corrupt. They've hijacked Christianity. They use it as a front to get away with the terrible acts that they commit. Just think about how many times throughout history, even going back and looking at the Satanic Panic, when people would say, oh, so-and-so may have been involved in a cult. And they're like, no way, Roger was involved? Roger's at the church every Sunday. Look at Roger, he's so cookie cutter. And they put the image on in their towns, in their community, of being Christians, being good people. And that's how they have always gotten away with this. But for people out there, they should see that while you might not believe in God, they believe in Lucifer and they worship him. And that's what their books teach. And this isn't some little club. Freemasonry is not just some little group in your town. They have power and control all over the earth. In local government, in hospitals, you'll find that they're networked everywhere. And that's really what they do. They get together. They take oaths of secrecy to one another, lots of time through blackmail, and then they network into these high positions of power. That's what they do. That's how they get there. They'll sit there and cry you a river about diversity and equity and tell you that the reason, if you're black, you're not going to get a job, or Hispanic, it's not fair, the white man gets... No, it's these people who are handed the high positions of power. They know how to communicate with each other through handshakes, through other means of communication, like their, secret passwords that they use with one another. And that's how they network, and that's how they control everything. Then they want you to think, just like they do with the left-right paradigm, of course, they want you to think that it's your neighbor who's white or your neighbor who's a different skin color, that it's they're the one holding you back. These are the people who have poisoned our society. And now you have a president who already was a Mason, but I guess the purpose of this, which is kind of just like insane, is to make a white president before he leaves office a member of a black Freemason lodge, a Prince Hall lodge, which to my recollection, I don't know what the rules specifically are. I just can't remember ever hearing of any white person being a member of the Prince Hall Lodge, but it's not like I go there, show up, so I really don't have much of an idea. But from my interpretation of studying these secret societies, I've never heard that this was even allowed, because I know I've read so many stories and accounts at Bohemian Grove when they go there and stuff, like they don't let the women go to the Bohemian Grove. And of course, the Bohemian Grove is really just a front for these secret societies all getting together. It's not like, oh, we're just going to invite our favorite actors and our favorite musicians. You got to be in the secret society first, which means once you're in a secret society, you worship Lucifer by default, pretty much, right? You take your oath, you grow in levels of Freemasonry. So they're all Freemasons who go to Bohemian Grove and go to these secret meetings. They don't let women show up at the Bohemian Grove. So it surprises me that they would even let a white person into the black club. But I guess they're going to be revealing themselves and tearing down all sorts of boundaries and walls that they've really put up in the first place. So you can't make it up. I mean, I see this trending a couple days ago. I'm just like, it's incredible, because people say that, then they're just like thinking about the Catholic, that part of it, right? They're saying, well, Joe Biden's Catholic. He can't join Freemasons, because that is a known thing that the Catholic Church forbids you from being a Freemason. Okay, but how come nobody's talking about treason? How many nobody literally sees these oaths that they take? I mean, the quote I read from Harry Truman, right, just sums it up. That he was president of the United States of America. Can you think of a higher title as an American citizen? I mean, not that any of us would want it, because obviously you have to be in the club and you probably have to be bending over left and right for these demons to get there. But, if you were president and then you were like, yeah, but my highest honor is being a Freemason, you'd be like, what? There's like only 47 of you guys, supposedly? I mean, it's right in our faces, ladies and gentlemen. So Joe Biden comes out, declares, at least he isn't declaring it, but it's all over the place, that he has joined Freemasons. And again, I guess at this point they know they can get away with anything. So even by them revealing themselves, nothing's going to occur. Nobody's going to say, hey, Joe Biden should have, we have to do something about his presidency because he's committed. Well, they'll say, well, he did it on his last day, right? Well, how about all the other presidents who were Freemasons, right? Oh, well, we don't want to go back and strip George Washington of his title because he committed treason. I mean, they don't care anymore, if you haven't noticed. And that's how news like this continues to come out. It's insane, to be honest with you. It's insane that we're even talking about some of this stuff, but we are. And this is where we are in life right now. We're seeing our liberties be stripped without anybody realizing it. The stuff with replacing human beings in Congress with artificial intelligence, it's utterly nuts. But they know that everybody is going to sit back and do nothing. And that's really what they learned from the outbreak a few years ago. They literally were taking people's jobs, telling you that even if you got this thing, you wouldn't be immune, you wouldn't be cured, so it makes zero sense. And they were taking people's livelihoods away, and we did nothing about it. And they look at that and they go, they're never going to do a thing. There's going to be no revolution. We're listening anyway. We got the NSA in their homes, so what are they going to do? And they're right. They're right, unfortunately, because most people aren't going to do anything. They're putting their hope and their faith in maybe the most corrupt one of all, Donald J. Trump. I thank everybody for being here. Let me know what you think in the comment section about how ridiculous this story is. It's almost like they're making Biden look like he doesn't know what he's doing, the role that he's been playing for how many years now, where he's a bumbling fool. But I mean, it's just too much, is it not, at this point? Is it not? I mean, there's stories every day about these things that we all get told we're conspiracy theorists. Oh, Freeman, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, right? Oh, you're a conspiracy. And everything just keeps happening and coming true every single day. I mean, there's never a shortage of content for me to cover. In fact, it's the other way. I got to take breaks before I have a heart attack from getting so fired up over the fact that nobody out there sees what we see because they're completely asleep on purpose. So there's Joe Biden joining the Black Prince Hall Freemasons. Unbelievable. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.